Welcome back to The Legal Brief, the show where we crush the various legal myths and misinformation surrounding various areas of the gun world. I'm your host, Adam Kraut, and if you haven't already voted in the NRA Board of Directors election, go vote. If you're not sure how, be sure to check out the video I did on that, and remember, Kraut for NRA. Today, we are circling back to the Hearing Protection Act, or HPA, to talk about how a silencer manufacturer employee loses their wings every time someone says, "I'm waiting to buy a can until the Hearing Protection Act becomes a law."
TacPack offers some of the highest quality tactical and EDC gear in a monthly package shipped right to your door. They aren't focused on sending you a bunch of crap. They want to make sure that you get gear you will actually use, featuring things like knives, tourniquets, multi-tools, AR-15 parts, and survival gear. TacPack is bound to have gear that you're going to love. If you order right now, you can get either a free hat or a free multi-tool by using the code TGCHAT or TGCTool at TacPack.com.
You may remember from the last video I did on the HPA that when the previous session of Congress ended, the bill would have to be reintroduced. Earlier this year, after the new Congress was sworn in, the bill was reintroduced in both the House and the Senate. Good news, right?
That's awesome! I know!
Absolutely. Although, unlike you may have heard, the Hearing Protection Act is far from a done deal. I won't go into detail about the legislative process like I did in the last video, but it is worth noting that the way a bill becomes law hasn't changed since Trump took office. You still need Congress to pass the bill and have the president sign it in order for it to become a law. Unsure of the process? Watch the previous episode on the HPA, and if you still don't understand, be sure to check out the Schoolhouse Rock video on how a bill becomes a law. The bill that was introduced in the House reads exactly like the previous version, so nothing has changed in that aspect. However, there is now a companion Senate bill which has slightly different language. With respect to the tax credit, the Senate bill provides that it will apply with respect to transfers after January 9th, 2017, which differs from the October 22nd, 2015 language in the House version. That will need to be reconciled prior to heading to the president's desk. The other issue that still needs to be worked out in order for this bill to become a home run is the definition of a silencer. You may remember the definition of a silencer, which is found in the Gun Control Act, means any device for silencing, muffling, or diminishing the report of any portable firearm, including any combination of parts designed or redesigned and intended for use in assembling or fabricating a firearm silencer or firearm muffler, and any part intended only for use in such assembly or fabrication. So while the bill may remove a silencer from the purview of the NFA, silencer parts would still be considered a firearm. As Deputy Director Turk pointed out in his white paper that was leaked recently, compared to the definition of a firearm, which specifies the frame or receiver as the key regulated part, any individual silencer part is generally regulated just as if it were a completed silencer. In other words, if there's no bright line rule as to when a silencer part becomes a complete silencer, it's going to cause issues with the regulation of those parts. As many of you guys say on a regular basis, clear as mud. I took some time to talk to individuals in the silencer community to get their take on the HPA and its chances of passing. The general consensus is that the HPA is not passing within the first 100 days and likely not even this year. Why is that? Well, the incoming administration has a number of issues to tackle, including income tax cuts, corporate tax cuts, fighting ISIS, refugees, Obamacare, Supreme Court nominees, building Trump's cabinet, and of course, the wall. Given a large portion of the population views these issues as far more important than silencers, it is likely that is where Congress is going to focus its attention. More on that in a minute. Every person I spoke to was in favor of the HPA. In fact, all were enthusiastic about the bill and want people to help make it a reality. That said, everyone was concerned about the way it was presented to the public when it was reintroduced this session. Additionally, a number of people indicated that they think the bill will have a better chance next year due to the makeup of Congress. Currently, there are not the 60 votes needed in the Senate to pass the bill through. However, next year, 10 Democratic senators are up for re-election in states that went red this past election cycle, which probably means that those senators are more likely to reconsider their position if you make enough noise about the bill.
Do it! Just do it!
While I think the American Suppressor Association has done a fantastic job in pushing for legislation to legalize silencers in various states, The manner in which it and Silencer Co. spoke of the HPA earlier this year was not the right approach. They led many of you to believe that this was a done deal. First 100 days, and boom, silencers everywhere.
Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. Protocol 0. No evidence. Clear history, emails. Delete, 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 delete. Erase, erase. Trash, trash.
As a result, a number of gun owners have decided to sit back and wait for the HPA to pass rather than getting involved in the process. And no, I'm not talking about signing a whitehouse.gov petition. I've stated many times that the biggest threat to gun owners is complacency. For all the posts and comments I see about people stating that they hope the bill will become a law, the reality is that this bill will not become a law without your help. So stop hoping and start acting.
You're killing me, Smalls!
You want this bill to become a law? You need to pick up the phone and call your senators and representatives. You need to email, you need to write letters, and you need to make them aware that you want this to become a law. So, how do you do that? I talk about this all the time, and people have often asked for guidance. In the description, I've included links for you to find out who your representative and senators are. I've also included some language for you to use when calling or emailing, or both. You'll want to start by calling both the local office and the Washington, D.C. office for your senators. As the Senate is where the bill is more likely to be hotly contested, especially needing 60 votes, you'll really want to put the pressure on. Then you're going to want to repeat that process with the office of your representative. After you've done that, and it should take you all of about 10 minutes to have called both offices, you're going to want to fire up the computer and send an email. It's okay if you don't do it the exact same day, but you'll want to do it sooner rather than later. Feel better? Good. Now go get your friends to do the same exact thing. So, what about the bill itself? Well, just like last year, it is currently sitting in committee in both the House and the Senate. In the House, it is sitting in the Ways and Means Committee and the Judiciary Committee. In the Senate, it is sitting in the Finance Committee. In order to be voted on, it must make it out of the committee. At some point, we'll want to push members of the committee to vote on the bill. However, it's important to consider whether there will be enough votes on the actual floor to make it pass. As we reviewed last time, there's several different ways a bill can die. They include death by committee, meaning they sit there forever with no action, which is what happened last time, and making it to the floor for a vote only to be voted down. At this point, I'm going to say it again. Get on the phone with the people that matter.
See those little black boxes? They're called telephones. I'm going to let you on a little secret about these telephones. They're not going to dial themselves. Pick up the phone and start dialing.
Hopefully that gives you a better understanding of what the current status of the HPA is and how you can help make it a reality. If you guys like this episode, you know what to do. Hit that like button and share it around with your friends. Have a question you want answered on the show? Head on over to the legal brief section on theguncollective.com. Be sure to check out my website, adamkraut.com, for more information on my quest to serve you on the NRA Board of Directors. And don't forget to like The Gun Collective on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Full30, Snapchat, and wherever else you can catch us on social media. And as always, thanks for watching.
The shirts worn in today's episode of The Legal Brief have been provided by Patriot Patch. Click the link in the description to learn more.